It's really picking up everywhere. So if you want to move to technology, there is nothing else I could say, or I could see at least. You have two options: Workday or SuccessFactors, and if you because you can't go to Workday, it's only SuccessFactors because it's a closed market. You need to go to partner, you need to get certified, you need to work as a shadow, and then only you can work on a project. Without which, SuccessFactors is an open market. So if you're like SAP, for example, you can go try, and if you want to get certified, you can get certified by yourself. So it's like an open market, like just like SAP. So, yeah. Sorry guys, I'm so sorry. Okay, so we'll get started, guys. Need a break of 5 minutes, man, actually. Good, right? See you. I'll talk to you. Okay, guys, so yesterday we talked about role-based permissions, and we've seen... Sorry? The cousin's friend? Who? Pradeep, acha, okay. Yes, I know. Yeah, I know. Okay. He is the one who's sitting right next behind you. He's somewhere or other. I work with Sam. I know him very well. I personally know him in the sense it's not from training. Anyway, guys, so I don't know. Actually, I want to start a new topic, but I want. Yeah, maybe I need a 5 minutes break. Actually, you need one more question. Fresher resume. Fresher, what will? Sorry, guys, I lost the connection, guys. I'm so sorry. Okay, I thought of a couple of things to do today. Maybe I'll give you the option to decide which one. Two things that I thought, let's be serious now. So one is MDF, to start MDF, because it takes a lot of effort to understand it. And the second one is interview questions, because few people ask me. MDF, good, so we'll go to MDF. It will take 2 days for MDF, so it will take 2 days for us to go through MDF. So I guess we can start today. Maybe it might extend till Friday also, you never know. So let's get started. I hope everyone can see my screen. MDF. Metadata Framework. So like in SAP, for example, if you guys would like to create a custom object or let's say custom info type, the custom table, custom functionality that doesn't exist in the standard product. So here we use MDF for doing all these things. Okay, so in SAP you might use ABAP code, build something, but here we don't use any of those coding things to create custom objects. What we do is we create custom MDF objects. So these objects, custom objects, are nothing but MDF objects. These are also called generic objects. So wherever you see generic objects, they're nothing but custom objects. These are MDF objects. And also for us, it's important that you guys have already seen this part, which is good for you, because we have seen our objects, foundation objects, migrating to MDF objects, right? So the custom foundation objects are now called custom foundation objects. Previously they're called foundation objects. Now it's like migrated foundation objects or custom foundation objects or whatever you want to name them. So they also move to MDF. Everything else will move to MDF in the future. So this is very important for you to go through the handbook. Okay, so go through the MDF handbook for sure. Whatever we do here is fine, but you need to go through them so that you read the theory part. Of course, there is a separate MDF handbook, which I guess I shared already. I already shared the MDF handbook with you guys, so please go through that handbooks. That's a very important document if you would like to understand MDF better. But we'll try to go through this different scenarios, at least a couple of them, and try to build an MDF object, see how it works. Okay? We'll try to kind of enhance the functionality. We'll start with the basic object. We'll try to enhance the functionality and enhance it further, put some rules, make it complex, put some more rules, something like this. Okay? So we'll try to combine rules. We'll try to introduce rules here, and then after MDF, we'll go to rules, continue from where we left in the rules, and then we try to write rules in our generic succession data model objects or whatever other objects that you have. So rules can be for entire objects, any other objects, okay? So let's start with MDF objects. The point is, what are MDF objects? What are the advantages of MDF objects? So these are effective dated objects. Why we need them? Or if someone says, why are they migrated? So these are effective dated objects. That means you can put date delimitation, okay? So you can say that these objects have a start date, end date, and a new record can be inserted anytime in between. So you can have date effectiveness. So in the date effective, so in the effective dated options that you have, there is none. That means no date effectiveness, okay? No effective dated permissions available. That means no start date, no end date, just an object like a table. Second is basic. So we've got a basic in the sense one record per day, or multiple records per day. And the last option available in effective dated permissions is it's from the parent. I hope you guys remember parent option that we chose when we're discussing about our foundation objects. We have seen this scenario where country specifics are considered child objects and the date effectiveness follows the parent object. So which we'll discuss anyway. The first point why people go for MDF objects is because of the date effectiveness, and also there is no coding, and as I said, these are all custom development, so there is no other option. You have to go here. And the other functionality that you can have here is you can assign workflows at an object level. So first thing, MDF objects are called generic objects. These are effective dated, and these are the options available in effective dated functionality. And we define all workflows at an object level. Okay, and then there's another section where you can store history of changes. For example, if you look at your foundation objects or succession objects in the data models, when you change the data model, does the system store a version of the data model? Does it store the history of changes? No. It simply overrides with the latest data model. But come to MDF, whatever changes that you do is logged. Okay, it's stored in the logs. Guys, can you hear me? Everyone? Online?
Yeah, Praveen.
Yeah, Praveen. Okay. Because someone said no voice, I was fine. So then, so here you can store the whole history, and also your foundation objects can connect with APIs. What are APIs? Application Programming Interface. So this is to connect with any other interfaces. Like for example, if you want to connect with SAP and send the data to this MDF objects, you can do that directly. Any changes if you want to send directly to MDF objects, you can do that. So you can connect APIs at an MDF object level. You can clear log history. I think that's not what something you do. No, that's something that you don't do actually. So you don't do it. You don't have authorization. I don't have authorization to see it in the first place because it's with SAP. Because database is with SAP, so the logs are with SAP. They will provide it as when needed. Yes?
Yeah, this API which is used to connect to other systems, is it something to do with the Dell Boomi?
Yes, it's to connect with other systems. It can be Dell Boomi or PI or any other middleware like MuleSoft or whatever you use. It could be any other middleware. It can connect with external systems.
API is a connector to the external systems with Dell Boomi or some other interface, right?
It's not just Dell Boomi, but it could be any other thing, yes. Okay, so first advantages are these ones, and then, so the different sections that you have is the first, the body or fields. Then you define what fields that you would like to see there. Okay, so the sections contains fields that you want to see in the object, so that you define all the fields and whatever text that you want to and other things. And then the next thing is you have got associations. So associations. So your MDF objects can associate with another MDF object or with a foundation object. So you have associations defined, but remember the two types of associations: valid when and composite association. So valid when association, when is it used? Composite association, when is it used? It's something that's very important for us to understand. So valid when is used when the association is between two objects which are linked, like for example division to department, okay, or let's say cost center to department, or one object to another object, like that, because they are two independent entities but they have a relationship between them. Like for example, different departments report to one division, so that's like a valid when relationship. Okay, so a valid when relationship is used in this kind of a scenario where these two are two different objects and they're linked together with this association. Whereas composite association is used when you use a parent-child relationship. That means the child object is embedded within the parent object. Like for example, if you remember, when you have seen the legal entity local, when I select in the location, when I select legal entity and when I select USA, the local legal entity fields will pop up in the same screen. That's like embedding the child object within your parent object. That's used when you have a composite association. Okay? Is that clear? Then you can also define security permissions. So usually by default, if you leave that blank, so there is no separate permission for maintaining MDF object. But if you'd like to say specifically that you would like to maintain permissions at an object level, then this particular object permissions needs to be set up. It will make it available in your manage permission roles. Okay, so there is a manage MDF objects permission, and if you go and click on it, you will see objects where you can have you can set permissions at an object level. Sorry. So you've got security permissions here for MDF object. So then you want to define separate permission for MDF, or is it available for all? Because usually there are two types of MDF objects. One, like an info type, you see it at the employee data level. That's where you define permissions for employee. Otherwise, if it's a administrator level permissions, these are the backend tables or whatever objects that you create and they store in the backend. So in that case, if you want to have a separate permission saying, okay, whether I can manage this object or not, that's when you use this. You can't compare it with that stuff, okay? Someone had a question, sorry.
Yeah, can you please tell the, once again, tell the difference between valid when and composite types, composite association?
So valid when association is used when you want to relate two objects which are independent, like a division and a department, for example, or a department and a cost center. They are two different entities, but let's say 5 departments belong to one division, 5 other departments belong to a different division. That means there is a relationship between this department to division which says these departments comes under one division. That's a valid when association.
Okay.
Whereas if you take a composite association, it's like a parent-child object. So if you remember what we did in our legal entity configuration, since we haven't seen them till now, so we have seen only the legal entity local concept. So if you look at legal entity, when I go and create a legal entity, I fill all the fields, and when I select country, the local fields will pop up in the same screen. The child object will come in the parent object itself. That's what association is. It's a composite association. The child object fields will be displayed in the same parent object. Is it clear?
Okay.
Everyone? Right, so these are important sections or body parts that your MDF has. Okay, out of all this, so your fields and associations are very important. So we'll go and start with configuring some basic MDF object. We'll see how it works. Okay, so in order to configure MDF objects, you need to go to configure object definitions. Configure object definitions. And one important aspect that I forgot to explain. MDF objects cannot read your traditional picklist. You remember our picklist concept that we did before? So let's say if I want to use that picklist in my MDF object field, can I do that? You cannot, because MDF objects cannot read your traditional picklist that you have in manage picklists or whatever you have, right? In your picklist management, you've got your picklist that that MDF objects cannot read them. So for that, you need to create MDF picklist.
So MDF picklist is need to be created separately whenever required.
Right. So whenever there is a picklist needed in your MDF object, you need to create a separate picklist in MDF picklist. Okay. So I'll show you them as well. So here in the configure object definitions itself, you can create objects as well as picklists. Okay. So first thing what I'll do is I'll create an MDF picklist. Picklist, let's say for example, what I'll take is college. So if you look at it, so there is a parent picklist option just like our parent option ID in the picklist management. This is for cascading picklist, right? So when you have a parent picklist, that means let's say you select USA, only the states of USA should be displayed. That's a cascading picklist option. That's when you choose a parent option. So display order can be anything. If you choose, I can choose anything. Let's say create college details. This is no, I don't think so. No, it's not. They're not actually. They're nothing, so I don't need to worry about it. There are some standard stuff. So I guess it's like our option ID or something that system creates, something that system creates, so you don't need to worry about it. So you have a start date. Let's say this. Let's say we'll create colleges, IIT, maybe Madras. Okay, so I'm just creating. Few values, okay. I don't mean other colleges are not existing.
Praveen, one question. Like as you said, these picklets which are created in MDF cannot be displayed in the standard ones. So when you mean to say that we can't add some picklets in the standard list, but rather we can create some new screen and we can add the picklist and we can call it in the employee profile, right?
I did not understand, sorry.
Like our Z info type, we can't add some subtypes in the standard info type, but rather we can add subtypes or some other fields in the Z info type and we can make it available in the employee profile. Am I correct?
I did not understand. Is it Bhavani?
Yeah, Bhavani, yeah.
Okay, so actually Bhavani, I don't know. I did not understand the question. Maybe you can repeat.
Compare, just I will compare with the SAP, if you don't mind. Like in SAP, we have standard info types and Z info types and their subtypes.
Right, you've got standard info types, Z info types, and subtypes. Okay.
So what I understand is we have standard info types and the in the standard screen of SAP SUCCESSFACTORS, any picklist we add that cannot be in MDF. If we create new picklists, that cannot be displayed in the standard screens, right?
So your MDF picklist that you're talking about cannot be used in your standard screens. That means you mean to say the succession of
standard screen.
What do you mean by standard screen? You mean to say the employment objects or the personal objects?
The personal objects or employment objects?
Yes, you're right. So your MDF picklist will not be available in your regular objects, but they're all available in your MDF objects.
Okay. And this, the MDF screen, what we are designing here on the screen currently, this is like a Z info type, the college or
This is
whatever.
the picklist. Whatever I'm trying to create now is a MDF picklist. And obvious, Prasad, I don't know you have a problem. Others can hear me.
Yeah. So if we can't use this picklist in the standard info types, the standard personal data or employment data, then where exactly we can use these new picklists?
So these are used in the Z info types. If you say Z picklist, they are used in the Z info types only. So these are used only in the MDF objects. So this picklist can be used only in the MDF objects, not anywhere else.
But this can be linked to the personal data or employment data objects.
No, you cannot make this picklist available in personal data or employment data.
So like in SAP, I have object like rewards and awards, which is not available in SAP, but we want to make it as a Z info type. The same way like here, the example, if we create such kind of Z objects here and the pick list for it, can we link it to the employee profile or it is completely
Yes, of course, we'll see that, okay, hold on.
Okay.
We'll do that, we'll assign it to employee profile, we'll see this object getting available at employee level as well. That's what I said. What did I say at the beginning? When we talk about MDF objects, this can be custom objects which will be defined at an employee level, or this could be custom tables or some background elements that we use for some other configuration as well. Just like how we create tables or objects or info types. There are different possibilities which we'll see.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so here I'm just creating a college. As we created a college, we want to see only for Indian employees. Is that possible? Make it parent only for India. Or if you want to have this whole object available only for Indian employees, you give it only for Indian population. In the role-based permissions. Yes. Ready to go. Okay, so what else I want to store here is I would like to have grade.
Praveen, Manoj here. Sorry if I deviate this topic, what I'm going to ask the question. See, for example, what about the holiday calendar and all this we can able to create here?
We'll see them in our time management when we go there.
Oh, time management, we can do that. Okay.
Yeah. It's not here. This is, what is A grade usually? What is it called? Distinction. Maybe then I'll put 1 first class, 2 second class, 3 So just created something like this. Okay, so what we'll do now is, so this is what you're asking about, immutable entity ID, record ID. As I said, these are something that will be created by system once you create the object. So this is like a unique reference to this particular object or this particular pick list. Anyway, so now I created a couple of pick lists. Likewise, you can create as many as you need it. So now what I'll do is I'll create an object. So This is important. Please make sure you guys follow this code. Let's say this is your education. Maybe I think I would like to create one more, guys. Just give me a second. I want to create one more pick list called degree. And enough, man. We don't take people who are PhDs in my office. So enough of this one. So I just want to show something. So that's why I was trying to do. Okay, so this is the education. So if you see the effective dating option is from parent, none, basic, multiple changes per day. So right now what I'll do is I'll put basic. So if once I put basic, you see certain fields becoming available. The effective start date becomes available. Whereas if I put none, so this field should be removed actually. Okay, so if I put none, so certain fields will go, and if I put basic, you'll see effective start date coming available. That's because of the functionality available. And then you've got API visibility, editable, read only, not visible. So they can extract the data when you say read only, whereas when I say editable, it can update the data from an interface. And when I say not visible, this is not available for interfaces or for API permissions. So I put editable. Don't ask me to show by integrating something, that's not possible. We don't have any interfaces connecting. So you can see complete history, delete history, or whatever you have. And then you can also have a workflow at an object level. So if someone creates this workflow, sorry, when someone changes this particular object, it will create this.
So the inbound, outbound permissions we can give at this field in the API visibility field, Praveen?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, so once you define it, remember external code is always important. So what I'll do here is I'll put it as a serial number for us. Okay. Then external name is a field. What I'll do is I'll make it a pick list. Okay, so I'll make it a pick list. And the pick list is, what was the pick list, sorry? Is it degree? Is it degree, sure?
Yes.
Okay. So let's say I'll start with in the valid sources. Remember, you need to put it as degree. Oh, sorry. I've taken the wrong field. I've taken effective start date. I'm so sorry. So what you have here is pick list, and it should be degree. Database pick list, a valid value sources is always the pick list ID. Okay, this is class. And then what I have is a custom. I mean, what are the other fields that we created? College. College is also a pick list. What are the value sources? So it's college. and let's say this is college. And then what else we have? We have grade. Remember, every custom field that I create, if you look at it, I just put grade and system updates it with custom. So this one is merit grade, right? So what was merit grade? So I'm creating merit grade. And then this is percentage or whatever. Merit grade is already, sorry, it's already taken, right? So what are the other things that we created? 3 pick lists, right? That's it. So, and comments. It's a string. I can put a length of whatever you want. So there's a length. You can simply put some length and say this is comments. Okay, just created an object which will have a serial number, then his degree, college, grade, and comments. This is how an object will look like. Okay, save it. Then once you define them, so where do you maintain MDF objects? Where do you maintain MDF objects? Configure business objects. We created MDF objects. Where do you maintain them? Manage data. Okay, so manage data is a place where you define the objects. So what we have to define here? So degree was our object that we created. So I'm creating a new object. If you look at it, one. If you look at it, this doesn't make any sense, but I'm creating it for a purpose, this way. So you can see it's a pick list. I can see the classes that I create here. Let's say, for example, bachelor's, effective start date is of, say, 01/01/2005. I got a bachelor's, let's say. College, you see my colleges, list of colleges here. And let's say grade, distinction, so never take him. So we just create an object. We just create a entry, data entry for one object. But does this make sense for us? No. This is just like a table now. Just stores data. Doesn't link with any person. You understand? It doesn't link with any person. I want to have a screen which will like this. For example, what I want to do is this. Okay. So let's say, for example, on top of it, I should see something like user, his company, okay, and start date, something like this, and then once I have this, I want to see something below that which will show me serial number, college, degree, and grade, and then comments, where I can enter college 2, degree 1, degree 2, something like this, okay, for an employee. This is my requirement. Right now what I'm doing is serial number is one object, right? So when I enter, it's one object. But if you look at it, this is actually what I want to achieve, which is MDF object. So I would like to store an employee name, a legal entity of the employee, let's say anything else that you would like to store for the employee, and then see this object below that, which can enter multiple, where I can enter multiple qualifications of mine. Right, usually that's what I would like to see. So, but this does not satisfy my requirement, whatever I created. So that's why I delete it. So this does not sound okay for me at this point at least. So what I do is I go to configure object definitions again. So I'm going to create an object definition again. Before that, I would like to see legal entities. Before that, I just would like to take the legal entities ID, because it changed. Previously it was company, so it was easy, but now, okay, legal entity, capital L and capital E. So I'm just going to define. So here, so I would like to have education details. Education object. So I'm creating a new object which says education, and this is basic. So API visibility, let's say editable. MDF version history, complete history. No workflows, nothing. Sectional code. Let's say this is a user. For me, I don't want to have. So I'd like to put the username here. So system takes the user. This is employee.
As I mean, every course have a start date and end date. So can we also have an end date here?
Of course, you can have it in the previous object that we created. You can put a start date and end date for each course.
Here we see only the effective start date. We don't
No, this is for the object. This is for the object in your system. I'll make the change for you so that you can see that as well.
Okay.
Just let me complete so that you'll understand what we're doing. So the next one is, let's say, a generic object, because I would like to store the legal entity of the employee here. I just say legal or generic object and the ID of the generic object. This is legal entity. So see my structure, what I'm doing. User, company, start date. Right? So just created user and then taken the legal entity and now start date. So we're all good here, but I would like to have this ones here in the same object. What does that mean? Let's see. So it's an association of the previous object with this object. Right? So association to degree. So is it one-to-one or one-to-many? One-to-one, how many people for one-to-one? How many people for one-to-many? Right. So here itself, it says answer one-to-many. One object to many child objects. Many here. This is one object. One line is one object. So this one is your degree. Degree. Composite or valid when? Is it a composite association or a valid when association? Valid when or composite? How many people for valid when and how many people for composite now? What did I say? I said if it's composite when it embedded in the same screen. Is it not embedded here? I said the whole object should look like this. So it's an embedded, it's a composite association. Okay? So this is education history. So do you think it will allow me to save it? Why? Which error? Which one you want to fill? Nothing to be filled. So it's giving us an error. But why? Why? Because if you remember, I said something about composite association. Composite association, the child object should inherit the effective dating from parent. But previously, if you look at our degree, it says basic. For a composite association, always remember your effective dating should be from parent. It cannot be from but on itself. It cannot be on itself. If it has to be by itself, then it's a valid when association. Composite association will not work. Now, I said from parent. Now let's try our education. So I can now say one to many. So this is degree. This is degree or education history. This is some degree. Now, you think it will work? Sure. So, we created an object now. Let's go back to manage data. Let's see how the screen looks like. So I go and create a new education object. I see the employee. It should be user. I can search for users. Beloved Carla Grant. So you see it's legal entity available, right? So you have an effective start date for the object, and you have a serial number. When I select, it populates other. What happened to class? It's because maybe there's a problem. This is a mistake that we did. We should leave this field. We should remove that field actually. When we selected basic initially, this field was propagated. And when I put it back to parent, I forgot to delete this one, which is okay. So that's because of the effective dating problems that you have. So you should see the college. And then you have grade. Test. Right, so likewise you can simply add, keep on adding. So looks like how we want to see this. Right? Is it, but is this available at an employee level? It's not. It's available in managed data in admin tools. Can an employee maintain his own education history? He cannot. then how do we make it available? That we'll see tomorrow? Yes. First, what I did was I created a child object. First we created picklist, yes. I created a child object which stores the serial number, a class, and a college, and a grade. Right? So we created this object, we see how it works, but we decided, okay, this is not the way we want to see it. And then we thought, okay, we'll need to have something of this structure. We have a user who belongs to some company and from some date, and what we would like to see is, we would like to see his all history details of all the education qualifications he has. So we want to have this serial number, college, degree, grade multiple times. That means object should be repeated multiple times. That's a one-to-many object. So we created a parent object of the user, company, and start date, and had a one-to-many association with the child object, which got this structure. Which one? So parent child, simple. So this one, if I don't make it a child object, the problem is this is a separate object and this is a separate object. Education becomes a separate object. Education history becomes a separate object. Just like a department and a division. So there are two different things. They're just linked, saying, okay, this department belongs to a division, but we don't do that here. Here we are having the object embedded in the primary object. That's parent child. If you look at the child object here, it sits in the parent object. But is it something that I defined in this parent object? No, it's just an association. A one-to-many association brought this child object many times here. Is that clear? So let me show you something. Let me quickly show you something. If I make that one-to-many association, one-to-one, let's see how it looks. So, instead of this, I'll put one-to-one. Save it. So go back to manage data. And also remember, child objects cannot be separately maintained in manage data. For example, if I try for searching for degree, it doesn't show us. You remember this we have seen when we try to maintain legal entities. I've shown you we cannot maintain separately the child object. It should always be with the parent, inside the parent. Now you see only one, just shows a screen like this. But this is not what we're looking for. We're looking for multiple entries of this record. That's why I put one-to-many. Make sense? So you want to go to the object definition? Right. So all these fields, which says MDF system, internal code, MDF system, all these are system generated fields. Forget about them. These are the only three fields that we created in the parent object. Okay? I just created these three fields, which you see in the structure on the top, and associated the child object, which you see in the bottom. Since it's a child object, it's embedded in the primary object and you see the big screen. Yes. Okay, the parent should be associated with child, right? So you should say either one-to-one or one-to-many. Yes, in the primary, in the parent object, we just said that. You see the data creation. So manage data is where we enter the data. Just like user data maintenance. Right. Right. Manage data is where you actually enter the data of the object. But if you want to make it available at a user level, you want to let user allow it, you want to allow user to maintain it or someone to maintain it at an employee level, like an info type, a custom info type. That's something we'll do tomorrow. This is very important. So you guys should, simple, but you need to actually just go through, do it twice or thrice, and you should be comfortable. This is quite good. Actually, if you want to do the same thing in SAP or in other products, it takes a lot of time and effort. But SUCCESSFACTORS, as I said, MDF, it's so powerful and so simple. Okay, so we'll stop here, guys. So everyone has to leave, even me. So let's catch up tomorrow, same time, and we'll continue from there. Yes?
Praveen, small request. Actually, I just connected a bit late. I just wanted to see the object definition configuration tomorrow, a parent object configuration.
Sure, we'll go through it once, yeah.
Yep, thanks.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. You guys have a good day. We'll catch up tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.